Bauhaus was an art school founded by Walter Gropius, a German architect, in 1919. Bauhaus existed in 3 German cities under 3 different architect directors, Weimar, Dessau and Berlin under the directors of Walter Gropius, and Meyer and Ludwig Mies van der Rohe. Bauhaus was founded with the aim of bridging the gap between art, design and industry and unifying them. Gropius explained his vision for art and design at Bauhaus as an ideal craft guide combining architecture, sculpture and painting into a single creative expression. It was a school where students received theoretical and practical training in all the fine arts and learned to combine these fine art skills with new technologies to design and manufacture products that were both beautiful and practical. The Bauhaus was founded with the idea of creating total work of art, and later became a school that had a major influence upon successive developments in art, architecture, graphic design, interior design, industrial design and typography. Modernism was one of the most important influences on Bauhaus. The design innovations commonly associated with Gropius and the Bauhaus were partly developed in Germany before the Bauhaus was founded. Gropius asserted that all crafts, including art, architecture and geometric design, could be brought together and mass-produced, and further argued that architecture and design should reflect the new period in history, post-World War I, and adapt to the era of the machine. Gropius described painting and sculpture rising to heaven out of the hands of a million craftsmen. Gropius argued at the end of the war that a new period of history had begun and wanted to create a new architectural style to reflect this new era. His style was to be functional and cheap and consistent with mass production. Bauhaus was eventually forced to close due to the leadership being put under pressure from the Nazi regime, claiming it was a center of communist intellectualism. After the closure of the Bauhaus, many of the key figures emigrated around the world where their work and teaching philosophies influenced young architects and designers. With modern design's basic nature as a combination of art and industry, we owe much to this diverse German design school that preserved, to leave one of the biggest stamps on art, architecture and design in the 20th century. The Vkhutemas, the Russian state art and technology school founded in 1920 in Moscow, has been compared with Bauhaus, where Vkhutemas has close parallels to Bauhaus in its intent, organization and scope, and in 1937, Moholy Nagy went to Chicago and founded the new Bauhaus School under the sponsorship of industrialist and philanthropist Walter Paepcke. The school went on to become the Institute of Design, part of the Illinois Institute of Technology. From Bauhaus and Detail's teaching techniques to Shillito Design School in Sydney, there is a unique link between Australia and Bauhaus. The cabinet-making workshop reconceived the very essence of furniture, often seeking to dematerialize conventional forms to their minimal existence. Marcel Breuer theorized, eventually chairs will become obsolete, replaced by supportive columns of air. Metalwork was successful in developing prototypes for mass production. Marianne Brandt was the first woman to attend the metalworking studio and later replaced Laszlo Moholy Nagy as studio director in 1928. This movement could be seen as the start of women working in a typical, male work field and being successful. In this era of change and disillusion, the movement sought to embrace 20th century machine culture in a way that allowed basic necessities like buildings, furniture, and design to be completed in a practical and effective way. The school encouraged the embrace of modern technologies in order to succeed in a modern environment. The most basic principle of the Bauhaus was form follows function. The Bauhaus movement transformed the design and production of modern furniture by incorporating the use of steel frames and supports. The use of machine-made, mass-produced steel tubing created simple forms that required little handcrafting or upholstery and contributed to the streamlined, modern look of the Bauhaus furniture. Buildings designed by Gropius were housed within a symmetrical structure featuring walls of glass, enclosed between strips of white concrete rendering. The building had a feeling of openness, clean lines and simplicity, and this Bauhaus style of architecture set a standard that became known as the international style and one which has influenced generations of architects since. Herbert Bayer was the school's first master of typography. His participation in this movement led to the development of a Bauhaus-style font, Universal. The ideals of the Bauhaus was supported through the simplicity of the font. Form over function was perfectly represented in this font in its lack of serifs, differentiating from the common German Fräkische typeface. Over 90 years later, as we exist in the future in which Bauhaus imagined, it is made even more clear, the connection between good artistry and good design. The distinction between art and craft has indeed been blurred.
Created using Powtoon.